This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, I do hope you're well. It's a tale of two single-cut guitars today. This, my latest acquisition, the Sire Larry Carlton L7. And we're basically going to be doing a little comparison between that and my other single-cut, this rather lovely Gibson Les Paul tribute that I've had for just over a year now. So, without further ado, let the games commence. What we're going to hear next is basically a little piece of music featuring both guitars, so you can hear how similar or different they sound. And as always, you'll find a full tab in both Guitar Pro and PDF formats, along with a clip of me playing that piece of music and a jam track for you to play along with yourself. All of that is, as usual, up on my Patreon page. There's the address, link in the description, as I'm sure you know by now, because I mention it in all of my videos. $3 or £2.50 a month gets you access to all of these additional goodies that go along with these YouTube videos. And a massive, heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you who support me in that, or any of the other ways, all of which are linked down in the description. So, before we get into talking about how the guitars sound compared to each other, a little bit more housekeeping. All the guitar tones there were courtesy of the Blue Guitar Amp 1 Mercury Edition on the Vintage channel, which has a very kind of Marshall Plexi-ish kind of feel to it. For the cleaner sounds, I was just dialing back the guitar's volume control, and for the higher gain stuff, I was throwing the new Ex-Horseman Klon style overdrive in front of it just to kind of give it a bit more push, and those are the tones you were hearing. Let's get all the other kind of nerdy techie stuff out of the way by looking at some weights and measures for both guitars. You can see them both up on screen there. 1st and 12th fret neck profiles, weight, nut width, DC pickup resistance readings and so on. I won't bother reading them all out. You can pause the video and peruse them till your heart's delight, if need be, but you can see straight away that they are, you know, quite a similar set of readings, especially on the pickup resistance readings. The Les Paul is the slightly lighter of the two guitars, maybe because it's got the weight relief. Not sure whether these Sire guitars do or not. Someone will kind of inform me in the comments, no doubt. but the nut width slightly narrower, I guess, on the Les Paul, but it's not something that you perceive when you're playing. I certainly don't anyway. So on paper, or on screen as it were, quite a similar kind of set of measurements for both guitars, but a very, very different set of sounds, I thought. This guitar here, the Sire, if I just heard this without knowing it, I would have thought that sounds like P90s to me. It's got a real sort of P90 kind of feel of these humbuckers. These are Sire's own Alnico 5 humbuckers. And they're a very bright sounding humbucker, very kind of P90ish, perhaps with a modicum of Telecaster-y kind of flavour dialed in there as well. That's especially noticeable when you start riffing around on the low reaches of the neck on the low strings. I'll show you what I mean. Yes, very kind of bright sounding in a good way. I think it's a tone that I can do a lot with. Let's compare that to the Gibson. So just swap the plug over, and again, same settings. I'm just going through that Blue Guitar Amp 1 on the vintage sound, and that with the Gibson bridge pickup again sounds like this. There we go. It's that sounds more like a humbucker, and as I say, the Sire sounds much more single coil, brighter, kind of P90ish kind of thing. And the differences don't stop there, really. Both guitars feel very, very different. Just looking at my notes here, the Sire feels, what have I got written down there? Polished, modern, slick, slippery. It's a very, very kind of... if you didn't know anything about this brand of guitars, you'd pick this up and you'd think it was, much more expensive than it is. I think these are about 500 plus change. So it's not exactly a budget guitar, but it's not the high-end boutique custom shop either. But it feels like it. The rolled fretboard edges and the kind of the satin finish on the back of the neck, absolutely beautiful feeling guitar, and it feels like a lot more expensive in a very kind of modern way. Whereas the Gibson, this is the entry-level Gibson, the kind of, I think, the cheapest guitar that you can buy that has Gibson written on the headstock. And, it's all relative, isn't it? But this is about words like cheap. Are all relative. It's not a cheap guitar. It's about £1,000. So it's kind of, in round figures, about double what the Sire costs. But it feels completely different. What have I got written down for the Gibson? Earthy, woody, raw, and all of those terms could be kind of misconstrued as kind of negative things. I don't mean it like raw. It doesn't mean that you're kind of getting splinters in your thumb from the back of the neck. It just feels much more, I don't know, or much less slick and polished and modern. Basically, this feels like an old guitar, whereas this feels like a very kind of cutting edge modern guitar. And the fact that both guitars sound so markedly different and feel markedly different means that I can neatly avoid what could have been a very difficult decision. I try, with varying degrees of success, to avoid having duplicate guitars in here, which, that's wearing a bit thin now, though. If you take a look around the room, all on the stands over here and on the wall behind me, all the different kind of Telecaster style guitars that are scattered around this room. I'm not doing a very good job of avoiding duplicates in that sort of sense, but when I had this guitar pitted up against those high-end Epiphone guitars, the 59 Les Paul, beautiful guitar, they did cover very much the same kind of sonic territory, and you know, the Epiphone didn't feel quite the same as this, but in terms of the sound, you know, I thought they were very, very similar, but with sounds that are as different as these two guitars. I don't really have to worry about which one stays and which one goes. If I did, it would always be this one that stays. It's taken me 30 years to find a Les Paul I really connected with, and this is the one. This is going nowhere. And because it sounds so markedly different, this one is going nowhere either. Both guitars are within what I would deem the spectrum of sounds that you expect from a guitar that, you know, follows this recipe, you know, kind of set neck, mahogany, humbuckers, 24 3/4 inch scale, etc. You know, you know the recipe that you're getting, and you kind of have a range of expectations for the sound that a guitar that follows that kind of blueprint is going to have. And both of these guitars, the Gibson and the Sire, kind of fall within that, but they are at pretty much opposite ends of the spectrum, which means that, as I say, I'm not duplicating guitars. I've got different flavours of Les Paul stroke single cut kind of tones that I can make use of, which is something that's putting a big grin on my face, in case you haven't noticed. So there you go, folks. That is my comparison between the Gibson Les Paul Tribute and the Sire Larry Carlton L7. Make of it what you will. And that is the video for today. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen and found it useful and informative in some small way. And if that's the case, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so. And why not drop me a like as well while you're at it. Don't forget the live stream every Friday, 5 PM UK time, where we drink beer and talk about music and guitars and many, many other things. Great way to kick off the weekend. I'd love to see you there if you can make it. But for now, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your time. Look after yourselves, folks. Stay well, stay safe, and above all, stay sane. Bye for now.